Alright, this is how you make some spiced up sugar cookies. What I have here is about 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour that's already been sifted. I'm just going to add the rest of my dry ingredients to this, except for the sugar, which we're going to have to cream with the butter. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of ground ginger, a pinch of salt, and mix this around. I just got my saucepan here. What I'm going to do now is just throw this big ass block of butter on. That's about a cup of butter. And then turn the saucepan up to about medium heat. Let this melt. Yeah, let this all melt. So now that the butter's all melted, what I'm going to do now is, this is about a cup of white sugar and half a cup of brown sugar. Yep. Pour that in. And then stir it around until it just combines and melts. So now that the butter sugar mixture is all melted and looking like this, okay, it's nice and dark, it's gonna have a nice deep flavor. It's also hot as napalm, okay, so you do not want to touch it under any circumstances. Let it cool down for about like 10 to 15 minutes. Right, so it's cooled down a bit, so what I'm gonna do now is add an egg. And a teaspoon of soy sauce. Nah, I'm playing, it's vanilla extract. Gotta add the dry ingredients. Spatula to fold the shit in until it's nice and incorporated. Okay, so this mix is looking drier than my DMs, so what I'm gonna do is actually add a couple touches of milk, maybe like 1 teaspoon at a time to actually get it nice and incorporated. It can still function as a cookie now, but I like it a bit more, you know, doughy. This is just straight sand. So I added about 4 tablespoons of milk to the cookie mix, and now it's actually looking like a dough. So what I'm going to do now is actually put this into the fridge and let it chill for about an hour to 2. Right, so now that it's done resting, just roll it down nice and flat. This is all rolled out. You can just take a cup and then just start pressing out your cookies like that. This is just a mixture of sugar and spices. What I'm going to do now is take one of my cookies. Be careful because it's crumbly, right? Dip it like so, flip it onto the sheet. Same thing. Now if you don't really give a fuck about how the cookies look and you don't actually want to roll out all that dough, you can just take a ball like this, right? Knead it with your hand. Make sure it's nice and round. And then press it down. I always press it down personally. Sometimes some people will just put the cookies ball straight into the oven and then it'll just like set down like that. It never works for me, so I always have to set them down like that. Might work for you, who knows? So I'm now just gonna go to the bake setting of my oven. Set it to about 350 degrees. And when it's just on convect bake, it doesn't actually have a timer on it, so you're gonna have to keep a mental note. Right, so these motherfuckers are in there and I'm gonna let them bake for about 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, so these cookies been baking about like 15 minutes. Don't actually eat them yet, just you gotta let them cool completely before you can eat them. And now the cookies are completely cooled. Not bad.